For all things gridiron and hardtop, it's Kevlu and Steve since the Sandbox.
Since the Sandbox fans, we are back. We got another good episode for you. We're going to be talking about the NFL teams that are most likely to trade up in this year's draft. But before we do that, subscribe below and go to sincethesandbox.net and pre-order your newest Since the Sandbox t-shirts. Those are fire. And you can also get one of these hoodies right here on our website. But guys, let's get into the episode. I think there's a lot of teams that can really trade up. We've seen a couple of trades happen to get some more capital with those teams involved. But why don't one of you guys jump in with a team that you think can make some moves?
A team that I think needs to move up in the draft is the Pats.
Ooh.
I think whether what they do at quarterback or not, because I don't see them drafting one personally, whether it's getting Cam back, maybe signing someone who's out there, I guess, you know what I mean? But I think they need to trade up and get a guy like Kyle Pitts. I think that's really their best move. I know they still couldn't move the football last season, but it's like, who were they throwing to? Where was the tight end play? They had one good receiver. Edelman has my knees. And then they have no tight end. So if you could get a good tight end who can block, catch, help out on screens, and come around to block because he's so quick and he understands how to move with the line, I think that changes everything for them. Even if they do bring Cam back because he knows the system, that's just improving on what they were. So I think that'll be a big help. They definitely have to trade up, in my opinion.
Yeah, I hear that. And I think it's going to be, a little tough to decide and figure out what the Pats are going to do, honestly, because they usually don't trade up. And to see them trade up, I think it would be uncharacteristic, but I think if there's any time that they do it now, makes the most sense for them,
well,
too.
That's what I was going to say, too, is that because I agree with you. I think the Pats do need to, but I think we've seen Bill's track record and his ego about just drafting guys late and develop, you know what I mean? And it's like, dude, yeah, you had luck with that, but, you're not going to do that 100% of the time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think they are a team, but Steve, I think you're right. It would be very uncharacteristic. As much as I do think they need it, I don't think they will do it. But like you said, now is no Brady in town. No one really, you know what I mean? It's kind of Bill's show now. Bill can do what he wants, you know what I mean? So I think that's a trigger he might pull.
Yeah.
I called that first then.
But, guys, I'm going to talk about a team that I think needs to trade up. And for this team to trade up, it would mean that they need to trade their star player. And I think Houston is a team that needs to trade up in this draft. And what that would mean is swallowing the pill that Deshaun Watson is no longer your franchise quarterback. It is what it is. You guys lost him. You had your opportunity. You had franchise players. You guys had a playoff team. Kissed it goodbye. It's gone. And they traded a lot of their draft capital and spent it on players that aren't going to help them bring a championship in. They got rid of DeAndre Hopkins for absolutely nothing. They just cut J.J. Watt when they could have probably traded him.
Yeah.
And they got absolutely nothing in return. So I think realistically you have a bidding war with Deshaun Watson, and whatever the higher offer is, you take it. And whatever that is that starts to build your franchise in the proper direction. But that locker room isn't sold right now on being a winning franchise, and Deshaun Watson isn't sold on being their quarterback. So that's a team that I definitely think needs to trade up. I'm going to mention another one before I swing it back to you guys, and that's the Lions. I think the Lions are a team that needs to trade up too. And the reason why I'm saying that is they just secured some draft capital coming over from the Rams. They got Jared Goff. They have their own picks that are pretty high. And I also think that they can franchise tag Kenny Golladay, and they can use him as trade bait. Even if they franchise him and don't keep him, they can say, hey, give me a third and a fifth for him. And I definitely think that there's a team that would secure him rather than, just hoping that eventually they rescinded the tag or something like that to happen. I think the Lions need to significantly start figuring out who their franchise cornerstone players are going to be. DeAndre Swift, TJ Hawkinson are both one of them. I thought Kenny Golladay might be one because he was a young player that they actually hit on, but they're going to let him walk for some reason. If Jared Goff's going to be your quarterback, that's fine, but let's start building some cornerstone defensive guys, and maybe some of the guys we talked about in our NFL Top 3 Prospects episode. You guys have to check that out. maybe they'll get one of those guys.
Yeah, and honestly, a team that I think must trade up, I think outside of the Colts, I think they're the only other team in the AFC that's one piece away. Maybe the Bills, but I think they're almost there with just one more season together. But the Ravens, I think they need to trade up and get a top 3 wide receiver in this draft class. What don't they have? They can run the football. They have a top 10 quarterback, top 5 in the league. They have a good tight end, good defense, good special teams. Get them one big, deep threat like Smith or Waddle or Chase, and they're golden, dude. Lamar really can't just throw to Marquise Brown, who is as big as me in high heels. You know what I mean? It's not going to work. So I think they really need to. And what do you lose if you do? Say you trade this year's first and next year's first to get into the top 10 to get a good wide receiver. You're only missing out on a 20-something overall pick, and you're young. You have some space. You have a good defense. And for winning teams, first-round picks don't mean as much. And the Ravens have always found a way to be good through the years. So them having a down year, I don't see it happening. And I think now is the time to take that big shot because Lamar's not developing quite as fast as he did. He took a huge leap the year before, but he needs someone else. The guy can't do it on his own.
Yeah, Lou, and I'm kind of in the same boat, but with a different team, and it's a team I think very highly of, and I know it's kind of unrealistic because they really don't have that many assets to trade in order to trade up for, but I think the Chicago Bears in the same boat. They should try to trade up and get another receiver to package with Allen Robinson because, yeah, the quarterback situation there isn't great, but I feel like if you do get another big, it doesn't even have to be, even if it's like a top 5 wide receiver, if they can't get a top 3 one, that's a step in the right direction. And I think Trubisky will be able to win them some more games if he has a second, wide receiver because, yeah, he's not the best, but it's also tough when you're doing it with only Allen Robinson and a washed-up Jimmy Graham. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't even have Tariq Cohen healthy this season. Like, you know what I mean? So he wasn't doing it with very much. I think he did look a lot better this season, Trubisky, than he did the season before, and I think that's something you can build on, and I think getting a wide receiver, because they really don't need much on the defensive end. You know what I mean? They need more on the offensive side of the ball, and, they're about a franchise Allen Robinson, so someone to package with him. You know what I mean? He needs another receiver on the other side that Trubisky can throw to if Robinson's getting double cut.
That makes sense, honestly. And if they do franchise tag Robinson, there's 2 ways that could play out. They could definitely get another wide receiver. I think that would be good for whatever the quarterback scenario is there. But even if they do franchise tag him and they say, hey, we can hear offers for him, that can help give them the ammo to go and trade up for a new young wide receiver to start there. So either way, Kev, I definitely think Chicago needs some upgrades, and being able to select a better prospect can definitely help them out. I do have one more team that I wanted to talk about for a team that I think will absolutely trade up, and this is a team that is involved, in my opinion, heavily in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, and that's the Carolina Panthers. And the reason why I'm saying they're a team that would need to move up in the draft is because if they're clearing all this cap space and need to change the quarterback position now, if they're committing to that and they can't get Deshaun Watson, then they'll put all their chips into the pot and make their move now. So that would mean maybe a Zach Wilson, maybe a Justin Fields. Maybe they like someone else that they would take later in the draft. Me, personally, I don't think Mac Jones is going to be a first-round quarterback. So I think we'll see that throughout the draft process. Stay tuned since the Sandbox for all your draft process stuff. But I could definitely see them trading up with Miami or the Jets if they felt good about their quarterback scenario and where their offensive lines were at in skill positions and so on. So I think Houston, the Lions, and Carolina are the 3 most important teams that would need to make that move.
Yeah, I think Carolina too. I think they need to go all in, even if it's to get a player in the draft they really want, or to add it just so they could try to get Watson. I mean, I know McCaffrey's on the block now, which is kind of bananas to believe, but they're another team. I think the Vikings could be as well. I think it'll be tough for them because they need multiple pieces, but I do think quarterback is something they have to start looking at with the young core, especially the money they pay Kirk Cousins.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap things up for this YouTube episode. Let us know what you guys think about our NFL teams that need to trade up. Follow us into Sandbox for your draft coverage. Go to our website to get your hoodies or pre-order your t-shirts. Leave us that 5-star review and check out our newest podcast episodes. Peace out, guys.
For all things gridiron and hard top, it's Kev Lewis since the Sandbox.